everybody, this is Johnny Seville. This is your executive summary for stock setups for Friday. Now, of course, the S&P 500 has failed in its open range. Actually, it held above it for the entire month of May, so obviously successful for the first few weeks, but just in this last couple of days it has broken down below open range. So of course we now get a new open range coming tomorrow, which is going to be setting the precedent of where we look for trades to continue for the next week and 3 days. So of course, once open range sets tomorrow, we'll be looking for a close above or below that in the following days. Now, of course, looking at the way that the S&P 500 is shaping up now, we have a lot of key signals that are breaking down. The high yield bonds are starting to drop, but they're still holding in there. The more interesting thing is actually looking at the stocks above or below their 50-day moving average. We have now taken a very sharp drop down to 42% of stocks actually above their 50-day moving average, down from almost 70. So that is a big decrease, which means basically 58% of stocks in the S&P 500 are below their 50-day moving average, which is bringing it back down to this kind of previous area where it has bounced before. But certainly this is a red flag and a warning sign. Now, if we go back to the S&P 500, you can see that if we go to the weekly chart, so far we're holding underneath this neckline of the head and shoulders we've been looking at. So it looks like this may very well be beginning to play out. So these next few days and the rest of this month are going to be quite important to see how this is transpiring. While some people sell in May and go away, we could actually be having a fantastic trading opportunity over these next 6 to 12 weeks. So don't pack your bags, or pack your bags, but make sure you bring your laptop with you or your smartphone so you can continue taking advantage of these setups. Now, taking a look at obviously the stocks, we've had some terrific drops on the shorts that we've alerted you to recently. Carter's has had a fantastic drop that continued down today. OFG has dropped beautifully down from 10.50 down to 9.65, so that's almost a nice 10% return if you're in on that one just in a few days. Hyatt looking really good as well. That's obviously dropped down from that $59 entry point we discussed, and of course we talked about the $50 November put options, which again would benefit well looking at this target for this to drop all the way down to $44. Money flow is not yet to break below zero, but again, if we break below the low of this candle on Wednesday, that would be a key downtrend with a break of those momentum support. CHTR also has had a good drop. Of course, we retested the moving average slightly, not the 9, but actually the 5. There you go. You can see the 5-day exponential has been holding it down. So good. So far, so good. Of course, the money flow has really dropped here. So on Charter Communications, this is now holding beneath resistance, and this one is also looking good as a short that we've been discussing there as well. Of course, you can have a look at options on this one also. Of course, we discussed a target of 285.13 on CHTR, so and the stop criteria of 325. So far so good. Let's also take a look at CYBR, which was we were looking for a break of 47.23. This one obviously has broken down nicely and is continuing to drop. You can see that we're looking for a target here of 38.63. So again, this is so far it is dropping quite nicely, closing in the bottom half of the range in both of the last 2 days. So looking good. Also, before, I just noticed in the newsletter that the options we suggested aren't written down in there. But if you go back to Monday night's executive summary, you'll see that we did talk about the 325 September puts. So again, we're looking for a drop to a target of 285.13 and looking at those $325 September puts. Okay, so continuing down, we've also got PAGP on the short side. PAGP's had a a nice continued drop. Obviously play on the oil or energy sector, and you can see this is holding beneath its moving averages. No real lift in this at all. This one's looking really good. And obviously the entry criteria there was 29.15, and continuing strongly. Of course, we talked about the $29 August puts on this one, which have been rallying nicely. Okay, moving along, we've got Hog. Again, great drop over this last little bit, down from this break of the channel we talked about. We had discussed the $55 August puts, and as you can see, this is really rocking and rolling so far now, well in the money, and hoping to see this continue down to this target that we're looking at of 44 and change. Okay, and last one on the short side, we've also got IGT. Of course, this was a break below $23 that we were looking for, and this has held up really well. We're looking for a target of $20.13. Now the drop today brought it to a low of $20.39, so this certainly has come very close to its target, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that that trigger tomorrow. Now you could certainly look at holding this for a further drop. As you can see, the moving averages are holding very tightly over the top, so that could indicate that we're going to get a continued drop. So as a momentum trade, certainly I would consider a short-term profit taking at that target, but we could see that drop even further, so we'll have to keep an eye on to see how that pattern develops. On the long side of the market, we've got some great performance there too. NEOS is performing really well in this bad market. It just keeps pushing higher and higher. This is obviously a very speculative play, but this one we were looking at, of course, for a we looked at an entry on when it started to break out there on Friday. It's pushing and pushing, and so far that's looking quite good. So that's one to keep your eye on as it approaches that $11 target after that breakdown of that long-term downward channel. LSCC is just sitting on its support, so that's going to be a bit of a wait and see, but so far it's holding. KTOS is powering along also, like NEOS is just continuing to move up in a down market, and that's why we love flag formation so much. Volume's been steady and holding that 5-day exponential moving average really well. So KTOS, of course, we're looking for that run up towards that 1050 area. It possibly could go higher, given that once again we'll see what happens with open range, but it has broken through some key resistance and is holding with nice accumulation from the money flow. So this one could also turn into a momentum trade, but again we'll see what happens with open range and how the stock strength bears as we start going into that. HDSN, now of course this one already hit its first profit-taking area that we mentioned on Tuesday, so that was a nice big bump. It's pulled back to its moving average now, so it may actually be going for another run here, but again that's going to be a wait and see for those of you holding a remaining position in that stock. And Cala also, we're still waiting for this to break out, as with some of those other longs. We're still waiting for them to break through their resistance, but at the moment, but some nice reversal action here today. We'll see if we can actually get up over that price. So there you have it. I hope you have a wonderful day trading tomorrow, and we'll see you on the other side of the week. Happy trading and good night.